Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has promised to hit the ground running, but what does a second Labor term mean for West Australians? Here to tell us is finance expert Chris Cornish. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Monica.
It was an election won on cost of living relief promises, so what can Perth people expect?
Well, first off, we can all expect some certainty because the election delivered a whopping majority for Labor, so they control the House of Representatives, and it looks like in the Senate they'll just need the Greens' support to get through whatever legislation they want to. So that's going to include various cost of living measures and also their previous announcements. From that, we know that there's going to be various winners and losers out there.
Let's look at that. Who are the winners?
Well, the winners are the students and graduates because they're going to have taxpayers forgive $16 billion worth of debt, which works out to $5,500 each student or graduate who hasn't yet paid off their debt. So there'll be a lot of happy young people out there.
And the losers? Those who obviously have paid off their debt.
Well, those as well as retirees with more than $3 million in super, because Labor's been pursuing an additional 15% tax to take the total tax to 30% on the earnings of assets in excess of $3 million. Now that in itself is not too harsh, but what is two components, one being the lack of indexation. So the $3 million will gradually reduce as inflation occurs. So a 47-year-old, when they hit retirement, $3 million in today's dollars, projecting forward 20 years, is only about 1.6 million. A 27-year-old will only have about 900,000 in today's dollars before they're taxed this extra 30% tax. The other controversial aspect is the taxing of unrealised capital gains. So if you've got an investment property in super, goes up 100,000, you might have to pay up to $30,000 in tax before you've even sold the property.
Any other tax changes that we can expect? Will it impact take-home pay at all?
Yeah, well, one positive tax change that Labor announced at the budget and which will now go ahead is that as of 1 July next year, we'll all get a 1% tax cut on that $18,200 to $45,000 tax bracket. That's moving from 16% to 15%. The following year it will drop further to 14%. It's only 1%, but that's still about $270 extra in our pocket.
What changes will there be for Perth families, Chris?
The biggest change for Perth families has nothing to do with the government and everything to do with the inflation figures that came out last Wednesday. It's all about certain this month there's going to be an interest rate cut. One bank's even come out and said it's going to be a full 0.5% cut, then followed by 3 or 4 more cuts in the following 12 months. So that's going to have, unless it's a household filled with students, that's going to have the biggest impact on Perth households.
Chris Cornish from Cornish Wealth Management, thank you.
Thanks, Monica.